There you go. All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and I'm just over the moon excited that Elena has offered to do her seminar for us. I attended it through SCORE and was absolutely blown away by all this information. And I think you're in for a real treat. So I'm super excited to introduce to you Elena Chernakalskaya.
Close.
Did I close?
Yes.
Can you say your last name for me?
Chernakalskaya.
Chernakalska. Um, so she is here to share with you her knowledge, and I'm just going to hand it over to her. And she can run this because we have a small group. You can open it up to questions however you would like. If you have a question you'd rather not ask, I will be watching the chat group. So, feel free to drop anything in there as well. So take it away, Elena.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. And very nice meeting you ladies. So I'm, like Elizabeth said, we met at SCORE. So I will just say a couple of words about us. That we are a nonprofit, nationwide nonprofit organization that provides free resources for entrepreneurs. So we provide free mentoring, business training and webinars, as well as kind of a template business resources that you could get also for free. We have 10,000 volunteers in the country. So those are people who either been former executives, business owners, all with a lot of experience, who came to SCORE to share their knowledge with new entrepreneurs. We have clients coming with, this is my first business, tell me what should I be doing, to clients coming, I have $10 million business, and I don't know how to grow it. So as a resource, that's a very good resource for entrepreneurs. So just keep that in mind. And with that, we can jump right into this presentation that I presented first time a couple of years ago at SCORE, because we had a lot of people coming and asking for help with starting skincare business or beauty business. And they kind of were all asking similar questions. So we decided, okay, why don't we just put everything in one seminar, and we'll share those resources with everybody. I repeated this webinar this year, and that's the one that Elizabeth has attended. And interest is still very high, and we have people coming for the second time. So there is some information probably that is useful, but I also know that you are in the business already, so probably something is going to be not that exciting and not that useful. You probably know it already, so just stay with me. There will be some new information. So I'm going to go through regulations, formulating, packaging, selling, marketing, operations, and Q&A. So I am a PhD. I've been in biotech for many, many years. I've been executive in leading research and development organizations, developing products for pharma and biotech. And so for me, formulating was one of those things like, I can do it in my sleep, but everything else was very new. I had to learn about regulations. I had to figure out what's the deal with the packaging and how do you generally sell and market your products. So I do run my business, and it's doing okay. I wouldn't say I have multi-million-dollar business, but it's good business. And so whatever I learned, I'm happy to share with you. So let's start from regulatory first. And we're going to talk about LLC registration, FDA requirements, European requirements, overall claims, and ingredient safety. And important thing here is that whatever we do, we don't want to violate any rules. Let's just stay on the right side of the law. And so LLC registration, I'm sure you probably have already your LLCs registered. I always say, you're dealing with human bodies, you better register it. So, and that's all I'm going to say about LLC. This is the only slide which is really small font, so I apologize for that, but this is government regulations. So cosmetics are not FDA approved, so you don't need approval for anything you make in cosmetics and beauty industry, but this industry is FDA regulated. And there are two important acts that apply to cosmetic products. One of them is FD&C, which is Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And another one is Fair Packaging and Labeling Act. So FD&C Act defines cosmetics as articles intended to be applied to the human body for cleansing, beautifying, promoting attractiveness, or altering their appearance. And the key word here is the appearance. So anything that changes human body and structure, function and structure, would be classified as a drug. So that is a very important distinction that everybody who is in cosmetic industry should always remember. This includes moisturizer, perfumes, hair colors. Does not include soap unless soap is moisturizing soap. If soap is moisturizing, then it falls under this category, under this act. If soap is just cleansing soap, then it falls under Consumer Protection Act. FD&C Act prohibits marketing of adulterated or misbranded cosmetics in the interstate commerce. So what does it mean? Adulterated or misbranded could be anything from you have bugs growing in your jar, or you have separated layers which are not supposed to be separated, or you have new smell or color that was not designed. So what it says basically is your product should be delivered to client, to customer, in the shape and form that you designed it, and in shape and form as you described it. If you say it has 6 months shelf life, it needs to have 6 months shelf life. If it says that it's going to be stable for the next year, it needs to be stable for the next year. If it expired, you cannot sell it, and so on and so on. So be very careful about that. As a small business, we're probably not going to be, nobody's going to look at it too closely, but as building the business and growing, this is something that we need to take very seriously. And again, if the product is intended for therapeutic use, such as treating or preventing disease, it is drug or medical device, and it is FDA regulated. So you don't want to ever to go into that territory, because anything that FDA approved and regulated requires clinical trials, and clinical trials cost millions or billions of dollars, and you don't want to do that. There's 3 exceptions that are actually FDA regulated, or somewhat regulated. One of them is color additives, and you've probably seen the whole story with, I think it's one of the red colors now that is going to be prohibited. But they actually very cleanly state which color additives can be and cannot be used. So if you, for example, decide to buy nice mica powder with the beautiful color that is going to make fantastic eyeshadow, make sure that that dye actually is approved for cosmetic use. Otherwise, you can seriously hurt someone. Fragrances regulated as general ingredients, but there is a IFRA recommendations, and it stands for International Fragrance Association. So certain concentrations of fragrances should not be exceeded, because otherwise they're very irritating. So you have to pay attention to suppliers' data when you buy fragrance and see. I have in the end links to the standards. But generally, if you use a fragrance and where you buy it, the supplier should have recommended concentration, so you should not exceed that. And finally, SPF, which is actually considered to be disease preventive. So FDA does regulate SPF. And if you claim something that your product contains SPF, you actually have to test it in professional laboratory. And you should have a paper indicating that this SPF factor, broad UV protection factor, was actually proven by the experiment that they done in the lab, by test that they done in the lab. So be careful claiming SPF. Since we're not in Europe, and I don't know if you sell in Europe, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but Europeans actually control cosmetic products much tighter than United States. So they actually require a responsible person. So you have to submit every cosmetic product into the cosmetic, into the whatever committee that's called. And you need to have a name with that product. So basically, I think it's called European Cosmetic Products something. But anyways, you have to provide your name as a responsible person. You have centralized notification of all cosmetic products. If you had some adverse effect somewhere, it needs to be reported to that committee. So somebody got allergic reaction, you have to actually inform them. And then there's rules for use of nanomaterials in cosmetic products that in the United States is pretty open. They are prohibited, most of them are prohibited in Europe. So if you decide to sell in Europe, you need to be very much aware of those regulations. So from everything I said, let me get to claims, right? And so we see all kinds of claims on products that are sold. And sometimes I just feel very uncomfortable reading them because they're obviously violating the rules. So don't do that. You can't say heals. You can't say cures. You can't say clinically proven to. So if you have a friend who is a doctor and doctor said this is a great product, it's not clinical proof. Yeah, I mean, kind of obvious, but people do make that mistake. My doctor approved it, so it's clinically proved. No, it's not clinically proven is FDA trials. And FDA clinical trials is not what you're going to do. So you can say improves appearance, you can say smoothens, softens, make skin look radiant, look is the keyword, make face look younger. You can say safe for, so safe for is a gray area actually. So in some cases you can, because if each ingredient is proven to be safe, for example, for babies, and you make natural oil for babies and you use shea butter and jojoba oil and you know that they're all safe for babies, great. You can probably say it. But if you make a complex emulsion with a bunch of chemicals, I would be careful about safe statement because safe statement is on the borderline of FDA regulation. You can say that it's better than prescription. I've seen a lot of products which will say this is fantastic. It helps migraines better than prescription. No, you can't do that. You can't say that it protects from any diseases. You can't say that it removes dark spot, but it can say that it lightens dark spots. You can say that it reduces wrinkles. You can say that it may support healing, and you may say that it has relaxing scent. So there's a lot of choices and a lot of phrases that you can use, but do not claim any medical properties. We good so far? Okay. All right. How do we know that ingredients are safe? And so there's few things that I wanted to mention here. Which of them are allowed for cosmetic use? I think that was my biggest problem from the beginning. I was like, how do I know that they are allowed? How do I actually, at some point I ran into something that I wanted to use in my formulation. And I found that fantastic solvent that did everything that I wanted it to do. And I found out that it's actually prohibited for use in cosmetics. So that was my great discovery right there. So, and what is called organic and what does it mean cruelty-free and so on. So COSING is European Ingredients Database. It's really great database, very scientific with a lot of really good information in there. It is hard to use. I find it hard to use, but if you want to know everything about ingredients, that's a database to go. Our kind of a second best in the United States is Environmental Working Group, which is EWG, and they have Skin Deep database. And that actually has a lot of good information. It's easy to understand, most of the ingredients will be there. So use at least that. If you claim something organic, it needs to have USDA certification. So if you say that your whole formulation are organic, then every product, every component of that should be organic. And I don't know if you know it or not, but water is not considered to be organic. So water cannot be organic. So if your serum contains 70% of water and everything else is organic, that serum is not organic. that serum contains 30% of organic ingredients. So remember that.
Can you,
Cruelty-free, you know,
can I just interrupt you for 1 second? So anybody making any skincare product or makeup product should really be running their ingredients list through this EWG Skin Deep database. Yes.
yes, I
Okay.
recommend.
Even
Yes.
if they feel like it's a natural,
I
it's an
mean,
herb and stuff, just run it through there just for verification.
yeah, so usually oils, butters, and herb extracts will be all safe. It's the other things as emulsifiers, some of the vitamin derivatives. Retinol, for example, is considered to be very harsh and has like safety rating of, I think it's like 3, while like oils and butters will have safety rating of 1, so they're just completely 100% safe. Retinol is not, and so we use retinol for our skincare, and it's not it's not killing us, but um,
Okay, thank you.
have to check those things, right? So
I'm sorry, I had a question. I put it in the chat. I don't know if you saw it. What if you get it from a third party who certifies that it's organic? Do you still have to do your own testing or something?
no, so if I bought it from reputable provider, right? So let's say I buy it from a company that normally sells ingredients, like from, I don't know, Lotion Crafter or something like that, and it
Mhm.
says USDA certified organic, I would trust that.
Okay.
And keep your paperwork.
And keep your paperwork. I mean, nobody's going to come after you, but be honest with that, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like see those formulations which says, it's organic serum, and I know that organic serum doesn't exist because it contains a lot of water. So tell me that it contains 30% of organic content, right? And then I will believe you.
Okay, thank you.
Cruelty-free people are very sensitive about this, like, oh, but as they test it on animals. So nobody tests any ingredients on animals these days. It's extremely expensive. So, but if you want to have certification that all your products cruelty-free, or your product is cruelty-free, you need to make sure that every ingredient in that formulation is cruelty-free. So nobody ever tested this product on animals. And the reality of it is that nobody's going to test those products on animals. It's just too expensive. But again, don't claim that it's cruelty-free if you don't know that your every ingredient is cruelty-free. The natural, that is one of the very, very common claims these days. People say, oh, this is absolutely natural. The closest ISO is 16128. So if you want to see what actually means natural, and it's not what they say natural is naturally derived. So over 50% of the process of making that ingredients needs to include natural ingredients such as plants and oils and so on. So naturally derived is an interesting concept. You can claim it if you understand what that ISO says, and we can dive deeper into that. But that's basically, if you claim those things, you need to know what they mean. Okay, so that was all legal stuff. Now we can get to formulations. This probably doesn't really apply to you ladies because you're making your stuff already, so you know all this stuff. But generally speaking, when people start their skincare and beauty formulations, oftentimes it's like I mixed these 2 beautiful oils and it looks great, or I made this body butter, or I made a lipstick, and so on. This is all great, but you need to be aware of things like what's pH, what's solubility, viscosity, stability, miscibility, compatibility, interactions, all those big words. If you don't know what they mean, you may want to look them up. You need to be very comfortable working in aseptic environment. So cosmetic products and skincare products are never sterile, but they're made in aseptic environment. You need to know ingredient safe concentrations, which we already talked about. And then preservatives. So when you hear that something doesn't contain preservative and how great it is, it's actually not. It means that you're spreading bacteria on your customers' faces. It is what it is. So anything that contains water will contain bacteria, and bacteria love living in an environment which contains water. If it doesn't contain water, you're safe. You don't need to worry about it. If your formulation does contain water, you have to use preservative. It will change with time. You may not see bacteria, but you will see change in colors, change in smell, and you basically are going to be spreading those bacteria on your customers' faces or customer hair. So not a good thing. Preservatives are never natural and they're never organic. Preservatives are designed to stop life from happening. They're not killing bacteria, but they do stop life from happening. They stop them from growing. And because of that, they're going to have the same effect on humans. And so they're not going to kill you, but you need to use certain concentration that is allowed. So if you use, for example, phenoxyethanol and ethylhexyl glycerin as your normal preservatives, and you put 2% instead of 1%, it's going to be extremely irritating mix. So stay within the recommended concentrations and never say that your product is 100% organic or 100% natural if you have chemical preservatives. The only formulations which say preservative-free are the formulations that contain alcohol, and you need to have at least 25% of alcohol in formulation in order for it to be preservative-free. Alcohol does not preserve anything at concentration lower than 25%, and 40% is even safer. So it's extremely drying combination of ingredients, and it's not a great formulation usually. You need to be comfortable with microbiological testing. There are home kits that you could use, or you can just give it to the lab and they will test it for you. And then temperature stability. So if you sell online, your products could be shipped to Arizona in the middle of summer or to Alaska in the middle of winter. You need to know what happens to them. Freeze them and see what happens, or warm them up to, what is it, could be in Arizona in the summer when they sit on the tarmac for a day. 100 degrees, what's going to happen to them? If they separate, if the emulsion breaks, you probably need to increase your concentration of emulsifiers and think about different mixtures. But they need to be tested. Okay, packaging. So packaging is a boring topic. This was something that was completely second thought for me. Well, of course, I thought about formulations. I thought about label and branding, and okay, packaging will come. No, it didn't. So that was a big problem for me because I realized that, first of all, I can't find the packaging that I like. Then when I find what I like, it doesn't fit in the boxes that I picked, and then my labels don't fit on the bottles, and so on and so on. So it needs to be planned a little better. And it has three functions. It showcases the brand, first of all, because that's your first impression when somebody opens the box, and what they see is that, does it look like something very natural? Does it look like something from the farm? Does it look like something from the luxury store? That's the first message that people get. It does carry your brand colors, fonts, and graphics, and it communicates brand value. Truly, what is your brand about? Is your brand about, again, natural, organic, farm-made, handmade, small batch, fresh, local, or is it luxury product that is expensive and exclusive, and it is hard to get, maybe, or maybe it's, you only can give it as a very expensive gift. So it's all messaging, first of all. Second, it's the storage in a shipping container. It protects from leaks, and that is not guaranteed, because majority of bottles, especially with oils, pretty much every package will leak if it contains oils. So it requires a special effort to put something in the bottle and things that have high oil concentration. It protects your formula from contamination. It protects it from breakage, and it preserves your actives. So your vitamin C that you're so proud of, and you put it in a clear bottle in a white box. By the time it made it to the customer, There is no vitamin C anymore, so you have to know that. And the third function is source of information. So list of ingredients. The packaging should contain list of ingredients, and every ingredient should be listed, not just it made with beautiful butters and plant extracts. It should contain intended use. It should contain all the warnings, shelf life expiration if it exists. Majority of main brands make their forever chemicals, so they don't have expiration. And if there's no expiration, then it's probably not biodegradable product either. And contact information for your brand. Labeling. So FDA requires a list of ingredients for cosmetics marketed on a retail basis to customers. So it is FDA requirements. It's not optional. It has that ingredients. It says that ingredients should be listed on the most outer package. So whatever outer packaging there is for your product, that's where ingredients need to be listed, and they should be in order of dominance, which you probably know already very well. And the letters should not be smaller than 1/16 of an inch, which is about 1.5 millimeters. I think it's font like 5. So if they're smaller than that, they're not readable. And the thing about it is that when those things are shipped, and for example, somebody breaks this bottle in the USPS truck, and that stuff is all over the place, a USPS driver would like to know what is in the package. And we were shipping all kinds of biological materials, and it always was a big deal. You have to list like every single ingredient, what is in there, because they need to know how to clean it, how to decontaminate it. And so if it's not on your outer packaging, or they're not listed there, and you may have something flammable that you forgot to list on the package, that could be a big problem. So keep that in mind.
I will also say that all that labeling is primary concern if you're looking to get on any retail shelf.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're looking to get into your local spa or um, or any salon or what have you absolutely, if someone else is going to be representing your product, you
Mhm.
absolutely have to give them all the details that they need to be able to identify and answer questions, especially when it's going on the body or the head, because it could cause some major issues, and then they end up part of a lawsuit because they should have known and they relied on verbal or paperwork that they got versus having it available on site on the package.
Mhm. Exactly.
Just a little legal note.
If you go to Amazon, they will require that they is extremely strict about it, and they will check every single word you have in there, which is interesting because there are still products on Amazon which have no ingredients. And I'm like absolutely amazed as somebody who sells on Amazon and going through what kind of hoops we had to jump through to put products on Amazon. I am amazed that there are products which have 0 ingredients listed. And I always submit comments for those. It's like, where is ingredients? So where to sell? So the first thing that comes to your mind is going to be a business website. Of course, you will have your website. And then what else? Or Amazon and Etsy, right? eBay, social media sites. I will sell on Instagram and Facebook. Artisan marketplaces like Etsy, Amazon Handmade, or Go Imagine. Have you heard of Go Imagine? That's a new one that is kind of growing nicely. And then retail stores, of course, you thought about maybe retail stores, going to pop-up shops, arts and crafts fairs. The 2 other ones are, maybe you did think about it, maybe you didn't. First of them is more of a partner locations. So think about salons, offices, studios, go to Alignable, can connect with other businesses, ask them if they could partner with you, and you can partner with them. Are you on Alignable? Do you have your business listed there? You can connect with other businesses very nicely there, and people look for partners. So somebody is running yoga studios and they want to have your products in there, but you will promote the yoga studios on your website. So here you go. That's mutually beneficial partnership. And then subscription boxes. You typically would have to pay for your own samples to provide to subscription boxes, but they will reach a lot of people, and a lot of people will find out about your brand. So if you can create small samples and you have a little bit of a budget to make those samples and send them to subscription companies like Cratejoy, that's one other way to promote yourself as well. Marketing. So I get most questions about social media. So I have Instagram page, I have Facebook page, and it doesn't sell anything. What should I do? Should I post more? And what I usually say is that Facebook and Instagram don't sell anything these days. There's actually a lot of people who will tell you that posting on Instagram and Facebook doesn't sell anything. You have to find some other way to get visibility. I would always say that test your value prop on focus groups first. Get people who are maybe friendly to you in your network. Get them together and say, okay, this is what I'm creating. Does it sound attractive? If not, what is it? What am I missing here? What can go wrong? Content marketing is much bigger now than picture marketing. So remember how we were posting nice pictures on Instagram? Oh, I'm going to just put picture of a beautiful mango and say I have mango butter in my formulation and everybody will want it. It doesn't work that way. But content sells a lot. So people look for information and they look for experts. And so they go to people who create blogs, tutorials, podcasts, especially if those are for free. That what actually sells much more. I know it from my own experience. I bought too many ingredients just because somebody like, Bulk Naturals sent me a new email which says, oh, we just have a new formulation with this new ingredient and it's completely amazing. And yeah, of course I have to try it. So here you go. I didn't see any pictures. I just read the blog. Discussion groups participation, be social, talk to others, make yourself visible there. Optimize your search engine, of course, do online promotions, definitely have testimonials. People don't trust anything on internet more than ever these days, but they look for what other people say. When it's on your own website, you actually can put any testimonials in there. It actually doesn't, I mean, in reality, I can write anything I want on my own website, but people still like it. So have it. And customization is huge these days. People look for experiences more than they look for products. And so getting something made for you or something made for somebody else and you give it as a gift is a big thing. Etsy is doing very well because of customizations. It's just, you can customize pretty much everything there, from greeting cards to, your own t-shirts to even skincare can be customized. Candles, for sure. My goodness, candles are sold with all kinds of names and messages. And most importantly, create a compelling story and brand vision. And so there's 3 examples that I love, and I think they have a story. And that's, I always say, if people remember something about you, it should be something memorable about your product, not just that you have good ingredients and nice packaging, but what is memorable. So there's 3 of them as an example. The Farm and Goats for Little Seed Farm products. They had a farm and they love goat milk and they started making products with goat milk. So they have goats pretty much all over their websites. Not all of the products are with goat milk, but they're all natural. And, I just remember them because of the goats. And I did try their products. They were pretty decent products. And at this point, I don't use their products, but I still remember their company. So if I ever want to buy something natural from the farm with goat milk, that's where I'm going to go. Osea is a company from the West Coast. They started as the spa, and they were close to the ocean, and their husbands and fathers were going fishing and bringing back all kind of weeds from the seaweed and sea plants and sea animals, and they started using those ingredients in the skincare, and they opened spa with sea products, and that's how Osea started. And then eventually they started packaging those products, and now they are in Nordstrom and some other big department stores. But I knew about them when they were just a spa, and I thought their story was cute, and there was inspiration in the fact that they just stay with the sea products. They didn't expand into making, beautiful eyeshadows and foundations and nail polishes. They just stayed with a skincare made of sea products. Very narrow, but very, very, very beautiful, memorable story. And then, of course, The Ordinary, which many of you know, they just basically started selling ingredients. So they said, do you need a skin cream which contains 55 ingredients when you just want vitamin B? Well, here is your vitamin B in the water. Have it. And it only costs you like $5. So very different approach, no beautiful packaging, dark bottles, white labels, black print, as ordinary as it can get. And they're very popular because prices are right and people just buy ingredients that they want. They don't need any extras. So 3 stories, very different stories, but I think they're inspiring in the sense that those people just stayed with their vision and their mission. And this is a funny slide, actually. When you start thinking about customer segments, and you would say, well, is it high income or low income? Is that men or women? There is actually 3 big customer segments. There are non-users, casual users, and super users. And so the first thing you have to think about, who actually are your customers? Because there are non-users, people who say skincare is complete BS, I'm never going to use any. Most men are in that category, although not all of them. But there's also plenty of women who are there too. There are casual users who buy skincare in the grocery stores, who basically buy whatever is available at Trader Joe's at that day, and they buying potatoes and bread and milk, and they getting their skincare there. Huge, huge population. It's like, my goodness, do you even know what you use? Yeah, I know, it says natural on it. Perfect. And then there's super users. Those are people who will read every ingredient and who will say, well, I want bakuchiol this month because everybody's talking bakuchiol. So let's find one with it. So you always have to think. I've seen people who target non-users and convert them nicely. I've seen people who target more casual users. I personally target casual users and try to explain that a grocery store skincare may be not the best thing for them. And I have some super users which converted from La Mer's and Clarins and so on to my little products, and they say they're better. But think about who is yours. And again, since you run business, you know already that, but typical breakdown for cosmetic products would be cost of goods in 5%, packaging at 5 to 10%, marketing at 30 to 85%, and the net profit from 0 to 40. Net profit basically is going to depend on how much you spend on marketing. Cost of goods for cosmetic products is negligible. It's all marketing, unfortunately. And so realistic potential income, then if you're selling $50 moisturizer and your cost is $3 and your packaging is $5, and packaging is more expensive than cost of product, unfortunately, and your sales and marketing is $30, you get net profit of $12 from each jar of moisturizer you sell. So if you ship 250 days a year, and that means all days except Saturdays and Sundays, you don't have sick leaves, vacations, holidays, nothing, just every day, which is not Saturday and Sunday. And you make 1 sale per day, your net profit from the whole year is $3,000. So that's realistic. If you make 10 sales per day, your net profit is 30,000, which is getting now to the point where it's kind of income. And if you're making 100 sales per day, so your net profit is $300,000, which is now that's something we can talk about, but can you make 100 sales a day in terms of finding customers and in terms of packaging and selling? So how are you going to do that? Because at this point, it's outsourced, right? So after somewhere between this and this, between 30,000, 300,000, you will need to start hiring people. And that's where a lot of things are going to start breaking because you don't have enough money to pay others, but in the same time, you can't grow if you don't pay others because it's just too much. And so operations, because of that, how do you handle the volume? So when you have one seller, they just have bundling activities and weekly rhythms. So I'm packaging only on Mondays, I'm shipping only on Tuesdays. Actually, I always try to ship on Monday or Tuesday, so my products don't sit in the warehouse for Saturday and Sunday, right? Um, and then I say on Thursday, I will be doing some development, and on Friday, I will be communicating with customers or whatever. At 10 sales per day, you need to have very strict inventory control because you will be running out of stuff all the time. Like, oops, there's no label. Oops, there's no jar left. Oops, I have a jar, but they're not sterilized, and so on and so on. So inventory control is very important. And at 100 sales a day, you are in the, outsourced category. You have distribution, you have people packaging and shipping, and you just focus on the business development all day. And so this is the end of it. And so some useful resources. So ingredient safety links, learning how to formulate. You probably don't need it, but some people who start, they need. But I love Humblebee and Maria Rema. She is fantastic, I think. And then IPCS is in personal care science in Australia, and Formula Botanicus is somewhere in Europe. I think they're in the UK, but good ones. And then ingredient suppliers, Lotion Crafter is my forever favorite one, but there's Formulator, Sample Shop, Making Cosmetics, Make Your Own, .buzz, Tiki Bit Trading, Wholesale Supplies, and a whole bunch of other ones. But those are all, they have good reputation. They're not going to sell you something that is not what it says on the package. Outsource, if you want somebody to formulate, make your products and formulate your products, there's 4 companies for that. Color Additive FDA database and International Fragrance Association standards. So that could be useful if you ever need it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. That is, there's so
Thank
much
you.
in there.
I hope there was something useful for 2 of you ladies, since you're already in this business. It's not everything that you knew before.
God. Are we
Yes,
going to get a copy of all of that?
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right. This
Well, you have
definitely
a
useful
recording,
information.
right? So it's going to be recorded. So, yes.
Okay.
Yep. There's also the recording. So, does anybody have any questions for Elena? Clearly, she's got, all this experience, both as a scientist, but also as somebody that's in the beauty business already, doing her own products and formulations. Any particular questions? How long have you been selling your product line, Elena?
4 years now.
Okay, great. And
3.
how long, Marika, I know you just started. Shamika, how long have you been selling your products?
Maybe around, let's just say I really started this year.
Okay,
I've been around a few years, but just really started this year.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
Marika, please feel
Yeah.
free.
Elena, what one free thing did you do that you thought made the biggest impact in your business, whether it was someone you met or a show you were at or just a connection you made or anything different than that?
So I found that a lot of people come to my website because of the blogs. So because blogs contain so many words and so many terms that Google always finds them, and they are very highly indexed by Google. So when I write, I mean, it's not free. I do write them, so my time is valuable, of course, but it's free for everybody else. So people would search, like, for example, ISO for naturally derived product. I wrote that article at some point just to explain to people what does it mean. It collects tons of people just coming and reading it because there's no more information anywhere else. So that is a good one. I don't write enough. I think email marketing is extremely important, and email marketing is free. So you pay monthly fee for Constant Contact or MailChimp, and you don't even pay, I think, if you have under a certain number of emails on the list. But how many of you send emails every week? That's, that is free
Trying. I'm trying.
Right, right. But yeah, a couple of those things. We actually tried to send free samples through Facebook. That was, yeah, you're
Oh.
gonna laugh at it. But I decided that, hey, I'm just gonna post there that I give free samples. I got 60 people requesting samples in the same day. And so I had to package and ship them, and each shipping, of course, you have to put them in little box and so on. So I spent like $100-something shipping samples in one day. And then I had people who asked for like 10 samples at a time. So I'm like, this is really great, but and none of them ever bought anything. So
And none of them bought anything.
That's what I was gonna ask. Did they
Yeah,
come
they
to
never
any
do.
sales? Okay.
don't do that.
Never do. No. And do
So,
you have a naturally derived plant? Sorry, Elizabeth.
no, please.
Yeah,
A naturally derived product?
majority of them, yes. I do use chemicals to preserve, I use chemicals as emulsifiers and so on. I mean, they're not all 100% natural, but I always have natural content percentage on my.
I'm gonna go on mute because my dog. Oh,
So it's okay. To the point about the blog, just in case anybody is interested in writing a blog article that they don't necessarily have a space on their website, that they print those types of things, or they want to cross post it for more notification. Boston Beauty Coalition does have a blog, and Elena, of course, it's open to you as well. And I can connect you up with our editor, Autumn, and she will coordinate with you. And it does not have to be a first press, so it can backlink to your website. It can create all those links, and it can get you more eyes on the blog, and more introduction to your product. So that's always an option. Feel free to
Yeah.
email hello from bbc@gmail.com, and just ask Autumn, tell her you would like to send an article, and she'll arrange with you getting that taken care of and adding it to our blog.
Good.
that's awesome. And backlinks are great for our SEO.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yes. Very true. Very true.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Will do. Will do.
Do you have any suggestions? I heard you say Facebook and Instagram are kind of pointless for sales. So what do you think is just they're good for brand awareness and that's their limit?
Yeah, I love more of the blogging social media sites like Substack, Reddit, Beehive. So those are the ones that are younger and kind of newer, but that's where new generations are. They go to the sites and you can post your blog in there. So they don't, many of them, I think majority of them don't even allow any ads. But what they do, you write the content and people like content, so it kind of bubbles up as people like it. And you can always mention your brand in there. So it's kind of a content marketing. It's much bigger now than picture marketing on Instagram. And
Another thought for you all is Reddit.
yeah,
If
Reddit.
you go in the Reddit strings and look for people that are having scalp problems, people who are having skincare issues, people who are having, there is so much information there, and people are going there looking for answers. They're not necessarily looking for products, they're looking for answers. But if your answer is your product, as long as it's not like in your face salesy, it's actually responding to their issue and saying, these ingredients might help you. If you're interested, please feel free to look at my product line with these things in it, whatever you want to say. But I think Reddit in that same vein, you're going to get a lot more people who are not just looky-loos, so to speak, but they're actually looking for solutions. On Instagram and Facebook, it is brand recognition. It's another touch point. It's a validation that yes, indeed, you do exist. But there's so much noise, specifically in the areas that you both are in, both skincare and hair care. There is so much noise that it's hard to get, you know, the attention to actually convert to a sale.
Mhm.
So more would be towards education or give people something, give them something. Don't expect the sale, give
Yeah.
them something on there.
Okay,
People love
yeah,
things.
that's what mine is. Sorry, that's what mine is actually about. It's not just selling the product, it's about scalp education.
Right.
Especially people with protective styles, because it was really
Perfect.
not being done enough. So
Right.
that's kind of a tie-in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Elizabeth. Elena.
Yeah. So you could go there and post like, natural solutions for scalp
Mm,
care. Like here is your
mm,
avocado and olive oil and whatever mix, right?
mm,
It doesn't mean that they will never buy your products because of that, but it means that you're giving them information that they want to save, they want to read, and they want to try. So you're building your image as an expert. And as you
mm.
build image of an expert, people will look at your website and say, okay, what products you have? Because really, they're not going to be mixing their avocado oil every day. They're going to go and buy your products in the end.
Yeah,
But it's a
thank you.
good way to get attention.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Fantastic. Any other questions for Elena? Now, one thing,
Um,
go ahead.
what about like this is more toward the money part. Like, are you licensed or have you sought to be licensed with any companies? Have you sought investors, any of those things?
No. So
No.
if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can come to SCORE. I don't know, Elizabeth, you probably can
Mhm.
help as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
can also
yeah,
come to SCORE, and we have lots of people who help with licensing, funding,
yeah.
fundraising, and all
Okay,
that stuff. I'm just not
okay.
at the stage of my life. I just don't need it, and so I never
Okay.
never tried.
So,
Yeah, I've had a
uh,
hard time. Sorry,
Oh,
I
it's
had a hard time on
okay.
SCORE finding someone specifically for beauty. I've tried a few and I don't, it just felt like they were telling me what they knew versus listening to me and seeing if it applied.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are very few of us who are in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
industry, and that's the result of it is that I'm booked for 3 months in advance. It's the reality of it, unfortunately. And
yeah,
I
well,
want to help
Shamika,
everybody.
please stick around with Boston Beauty Coalition. You'll find a lot of great help here and a lot
Yeah,
of great connections
yeah,
here.
I'm sure
One
Elizabeth.
thing to just keep in mind when it comes to VCs or financing or funding for beauty care brands, um, most VCs are going to want to see sales and revenue at a much higher level than what, you know, I think what your thought would be is, well, if I had that kind of revenue, I wouldn't need financing. That's really what they're looking for. They're looking
Yeah,
for
they want
hundreds
a
of thousands of
guarantee
dollars.
kind of. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
in
Yeah,
revenue.
I met somebody at Venture Cafe who told me a lot of this information. That's actually how I got to know about Elizabeth.
Mm,
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
good. So one of the things that you can do though, and I'm going to be bringing on a learning session about this, are things like purchase order funding. So say you do get a large order from Sephora by the grace of God and you want to do that, but in order to fulfill that order, you're going to have to spend a huge amount of money that you just don't happen to have right now. You can do things like purchase order funding, which the the funding gets paid back based on when you're paid from the customer. Or you can do revenue-based funding by certain groups, and they will decide on a percentage of your revenue will go back towards paying the loan. So it's not like, well, I've committed to $1,000 every month to pay back my loan, and this month I made $200. Now I got to come up with the extra 800. It's based on what your revenue is. Again, it's going to need some historical financials in order to qualify for that. But those are things as you move into your business and forward, there are some options for you to do other kind of creative financings, which is different from what the people at Venture Cafe are getting because they're tech and biotech, and they're getting gobs of money that is not generally available to the beauty and fashion industry generally.
Yes. You said it perfectly. Thank you.
I wish it were different, but it's plus the other thing is, and you know, the more natural your products are, the shorter the shelf life is, the you know, the quicker the turnaround, you know, the more spoilage and the
Yep.
and yeah, all the revenue, yeah. It's a lot. So, you know, get yourself going, and as you move through it, there are options to help you really do your thing. But as Elena can probably tell you, once you start getting into big retail too, there's a lot of things that go with that.
Yeah, and they take
Thank you.
at least 50% of your revenues too. We have to remember that. So
Okay, I did not know that. Okay.
yes, yeah, if you get to retailer, that's between 40 and 60%, typically around 50%. Yeah. So if your price is $50, you're going to get 25.
And then based on that qualifying thing, and your packaging is this much and all of that, so your revenue is shrinkage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can compensate by
Wow.
volume if it's possible, but again, it doesn't guarantee. So I had a client who managed to get her products to CVS. They put it on the back shelf and they never sold anything. She had to pay for everything that was broken, lost, stolen, and that cost was all out of her pocket. So it's not necessarily a guarantee. Like people say, oh, I'm going to sell on Amazon and I'm going to make millions. Not at all.
I'm on Amazon. I made one sale. Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
congratulations, because it starts with one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
congratulations.
That's awesome. I think that's huge.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I did feel good. I was like, oh, now where's the rest? But I'll take it for start. Yes.
Starts with one.
Absolutely. But
Yes.
you know, Elena did put together a great point about now that you're selling on Amazon and not just at a local market, you now have to think about where is that shipping to, and you know, how is it going to transport? What are the additional things that I need to be aware of? So, you know, definitely keep those types of things in mind as it relates to, you know, I had an entrepreneur that I worked with in New Hampshire, and she was a chocolate maker. And I had ordered some things for a client of mine, and she's like, "Oh no, no, it's July. No,
It's
I don't ship
seasonal.
in July. It's chocolate." I was like, "Right. Okay." She's like,
Wow.
I can't." She's like, "You can come by and pick it up, but I will not ship in July." I'm like, "Okay.
That's smart.
Yeah,
Well,
chocolate business is seasonal, yes.
yeah,
Wow.
But Amazon is a brutal platform, so be prepared for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hate to be the one
yeah,
to tell you, but it is brutal. It's expensive, it's competitive, it's they delist you for everything. So Amazon is customer obsessed, right? So they always customer obsessed. That's what
Mhm.
Jeff Bezos always said, our company is has obsession with customers, they're obviously not paying for that out of their pocket. They're paying for that
Yeah.
out of sellers' pockets. So yeah, everything that can go wrong, you're responsible for it. I've been on Amazon
Okay.
for 2 years, I think, and I hate that platform. I love Etsy though. Etsy for me is kind, nice, fun, friendly platform where I can connect with people, make friends. I have friends on Etsy. I never seen them, but we, send messages to each other all the time.
Love
Has
that.
anybody
Oh,
tried
okay.
Fair? Has
What?
anyone tried Fair for wholesaling?
Fair, no, I have.
FAIRE? No.
They require experience in physical retail before they take products. So you have to tell them that you've been in the store for a certain period of time and you sold them.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard. I never tried Fair, but that's what people told me who were on Fair.
Oh, I didn't think that was the
And
case.
if you're doing wholesale, how much profit are you really making too?
Same, 40%.
50%, yeah.
Oh,
So you
the
always,
same
your
amount.
pricing is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double,
And if you
then
have
double, and then
you
add
have
a
your own-
little and round up.
Okay. Okay.
You'll have
And
to
shelf
spend
life.
30 to 60%
Yeah.
on marketing, right? You'll have to spend 30 to 60% on marketing. You may as well just give it to wholesaler or retail store if they provide you with a volume, because otherwise you could
Yeah.
spend it on Google and get people to your website and get more. I mean, you have to think what's more effective, but you will spend that money on one way or another on marketing.
Yeah. But
Okay.
something to keep in mind when Sarah Blakely got Spanx into Nordstrom, she didn't just go, "Yay, I'm in Nordstrom." She actually went to the stores and trained the people in the stores on her own. She actually spent weeks and months going store to store and training the people in the pants section for women's pants. She went into the lingerie section and trained them there. She then also did sales there. She also, when she first got in there, stood out in the parking lot and gave people money to go in and buy her product, because she knew if she didn't turn a certain amount of product in a certain amount of time, they'd boot her. So she paid people to walk in and buy her product. So like you're going to put some money out there to get things moving. It's priming the pump one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't expect that, okay, I'm in Amazon, it's going to do its thing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have no benefit to sell you. So you just got to keep doing the thing. And that's something that I think people need to be really conscientious of when you're finally getting into a location. What can I do to make sure this product now moves? Can I drive people to the location? Can I show up and do a pop-up and do, talk about the product? Can I, what can I do to enhance the experience of the user and expose my product? Because just because it's on a shelf, you don't know if it's on the back shelf, like the CVS story, or
Yeah.
whether it's prominent on an end cap and everybody comes by and goes, "Oh my gosh, that's beautiful packaging. What is that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
you got to be active in your sales. And I did do a brand learning session, a branding learning session. So you can look for that on the website. I believe it's up there now. So there's other learning sessions that y'all can take a look at. If there are no other questions, I want to make sure that Elena gets her rest of her evening back. Or
Yes.
is
I
there
thought I
anything
would
else?
just quickly say, Sharika, have you gone to any of those head and scalp spas and see if they're carrying product for textured hair and scalp? Because they're popping up crazy right now.
Tell me a little. Wait, the head and scalp.
Yes, so there's all
places?
these spas popping up that treat
Yeah.
the scalp. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if
Yes.
they carry
Yes.
products for, like African American skin and white skin
Yeah.
might be semi-similar, but our scalp and hair are
Yeah.
actually pretty different.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay.
Especially hair, like
I
what's
am
good
gonna
for the
look at
scalp
that.
is not necessarily
Yeah.
good for the hair. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
I know more
Yeah.
about face skin. I know less about
Yeah.
scalp and hair, but
Okay. Thank you for that. That's another
just a
avenue
thought.
to pursue. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, that's really the end, Elizabeth. Thank you for your time.
No, that's great. I appreciate it, and I loved the sharing. That's what this
Thank
group
you,
is all
ladies.
about. So
I
that's
love that our
very
names
exciting.
rhyme.
I love your name. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it.
Our
I love it.
celebrity name
Yes.
is Shmarika.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Right.
So thank you
Okay.
so much,
Yes.
Elena, for all your
Thank you, Elena.
all your talent and sharing this. I am gonna end the recording at this time.
Thank you.